Hello and welcome to another edition of You Skipped That. I'm Dan Clark.
And I'm Alex Grace.
And this is the podcast where a couple friends introduce each other to movies they've never seen before.
That's true.
Basic premise, fairly simple, but it
Right
works
to the point.
It works for us. This week we are covering a movie in honor of the spooky season.
Ooh.
It's not a super spooky movie. It's a suspense movie.
Very suspenseful, especially towards the end.
Yeah. The 1967 movie starring Alan Arkin, Audrey Hepburn, and Richard Crenna, Wait Until Dark. So we'll just get right to it. What'd you think?
I loved that.
These movies are always hard because I can never tell if you're being quiet because you're being respectful of the movie and enjoying it, or if you're just like, God, when is this going to be over?
No, let's just make a pact now. If your movie is terrible, I'm going to tell you.
I appreciate
I'm
that.
going to look at you and just be like, dude,
Can we do
literally anything else?
Can we do something else? The movie does have a pretty slow start.
It does, but, I've come to expect that at anything that came out before, 1985.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Well, the premise of the movie, in short, is in an effort to smuggle drugs into the States from Canada, they've been hidden in a doll that has been slipped to a character by Sam. She says his name a million times.
Like a million times.
Who happens to have a blind wife. He's not in on it at all. Yeah. He's just, a woman approaches him in the airport, says, hey, take this doll. I think she says something about...
A sick kid in a hospital or something.
I have a sick kid in the hospital, but my other daughter's meeting me here, and if she sees it, It's not important.
Yeah.
The drugs get into the country. They're unwittingly in the possession of Sam, who has a blind wife named Susy.
Played by Audrey Hepburn.
Wonderfully.
Magnificently.
And the people that were supposed to get the drugs are not a fan of the fact that they didn't get the drugs, as people like that tend to be.
It's true.
But Susy has lost the doll, and so these people set in motion a lengthy scheme to get the doll back, thinking that she knows where it is. Susy's blind, and intensity ensues.
Yes.
I really like the way this movie plays with the fact that Susy is blind. The way that they treat her like she must be some kind of idiot. And sometimes they do play to her weaknesses, where they're all kind of scattered around the apartment being super quiet, and she can't see them, and so she doesn't know that they're there, which sets up some intense sequences earlier on. But then, as the movie goes on, it shows that they have underestimated her with, she can hear very well.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I heard he was wiping a bunch of stuff down. Why do you think that is? Why were they messing with the blinds and stuff like that? After dark.
Why did these two entirely different men have shoes that sounded exactly the same?
That squeak in exactly the same manner on exactly the same foot. So you have to get through a little bit in the movie of them treating her like an idiot and her lowering herself to their expectations.
Yeah.
Before you find out that, not through any scheme of hers, she doesn't know that any of this is going on, but she is far smarter and more crafty than they're giving her credit for.
Well, and it also feels like the movie is kind of following her figuring out that she's smarter and more crafty than she gives herself credit for.
Yeah, because at the beginning, one of the first times that she meets one of the people that she doesn't realize is scheming her, there's a fire in the apartment, and she immediately freaks out. It turns out it's in the ashtray.
Yeah.
A cigarette has not properly been put out. It caught on the paper and has gone up. Itty bitty fire.
Yeah.
And by the end, she's actually using fire to her advantage. Not in some big spectacular way, but in a very believable way.
Yeah.
With matches. Yeah, I like that about this movie. That's what stuck with me about this movie, is the fact that it is kind of like that, like you said, that journey of her discovering that she is, how does she put it, world champion blind lady?
Yeah, world champion blind lady.
Yeah. Her words,
yep,
not mine. But I want to hear more of your thoughts.
My thoughts, just wow, I was not expecting the level of intensity in the third act there.
Yes.
Some pretty solid jump scares in that movie.
Yeah, right there at the end.
Yeah.
I believe...
I literally saw you leave the couch when the car...
And I've seen this movie before.
Yeah.
I've seen this movie twice before.
Yeah.
Once not that long ago. But yeah, the car got me.
The part where the person jumps out of the darkness, that got me real good.
I was really hoping. I was under a blanket because I was chilly, and I knew it was coming.
Yeah.
I remember that. I've heard that, like, on the countdowns of, like, the best jump scares of all time. That's always, like, top 5, if not top 1. And so I was hoping that I, like, under the blanket, you couldn't see myself tensing
Up, preparing
in
for
preparation for it.
Because, that shocked me.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I loved watching the scheme unfold, which was pretty ingenious, convincing her that her husband was implicated in this murder.
That he was having an affair.
Yep.
And using 3 people to put the pressure on her so that she believed things that she knew her husband. She loved her husband.
Right.
And knew that he wouldn't do that. But when you have a cop and someone who has presented himself as a friend yelling at you, yeah.
But yeah, just the way the whole scheme kind of builds up and seeing her piecing together what's going on. Mm-hmm. It was also kind of fun watching her relationship with the little girl next door, Gloria.
Yeah.
Kind of evolve from being pretty confrontational at the beginning to the point of Gloria freaking out and just throwing stuff around her house.
Yeah, that was a scene, like, I didn't remember that scene. And when it was happening, that thing where when you're showing someone a movie that you like, you become hypercritical of it. Like, everything, like, God, is this too much? I was like, why? Why is this scene here? Like, this feels like torturing the blind lady. Mm-hmm. But it very quickly shows this is what set her off. She's not a bad girl. Yeah. She doesn't like being insulted, and she needs something to do. Yeah. And as the movie goes on,
she gets things to do.
Yeah. One of the few laughs in the movie is where Susy goes, "Would you like to do something adventurous and horribly dangerous?" And she goes, "Oh boy, would I ever."
Yeah. That was good.
And she's on it.
That and the other good laugh this movie got out of me was when Gloria was leaving and she goes, "Wow, I wish stuff like this happened every day."
But yeah, I agree that relationship was very interesting.
And, ends up being a big part of the movie.
Yeah. Couldn't have done it without Gloria. Without Gloria, Susy loses.
Oh, for sure.
Quickly.
Yeah, very.
Yeah.
In fact, Gloria is the only reason Susy knows one of the biggest twists in the plot that she's not aware of.
Yeah.
Like, we on the outside know it, but to her, this individual is on the level.
Yeah. You can also tell that the movie is based on a play.
Yes.
When you think
it all takes place in one room.
Almost all of it, yeah.
Yeah. A lot of the dialogue has that sort of stage theatricalness to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, now that you say that's very obvious. Mm. As somebody who has a movie on this list that's based on a play.
Yep.
That very much feels like a movie based on a play.
Yeah, they didn't try to... I mean, they do some stuff at the beginning. They actually show stuff in Montreal. It all takes place in...
I think it's supposed to be New York.
I think so.
The street names and stuff she was giving sounded like New York.
Right. And they show the drugs getting put into the doll and everything in Montreal and then through the airport. And they show some stuff out on the street. But other than that, they don't really gussy it up all that much. It does feel like it could all be on a stage for about 90% of the movie. There's also not a whole lot of wasted time in this. It's pretty tight, hour and 40.
Yeah, and like you said, it moves the whole time. Like, something is going on that's relevant.
Right.
I love a good movie like that, where it doesn't feel like you're, strapped onto a rocket or anything, but it also doesn't feel like we took a break so you could go get popcorn.
Yeah. It's a steady march towards the conclusion, which I like very much. There are parts of it where it feels like going for the breaks. Like, could we just maybe slow this down just a little bit?
Especially at the end.
Yeah.
At the end, it's like, please tell me this is almost over.
Yep.
And not in a bad way, just in a, this is getting intense, and I'm feeling things.
I need to relax at some point this evening. Yeah, I know that you're not big on horror movies.
No,
I've
made that much clear.
Yeah, and so I didn't want to, I had options.
Yeah.
And I thought seriously about options.
Yes.
Especially considering what you're doing to me next week.
I'd like to say I'm sorry, but I'm not.
I know you're not.
I'm not.
So, let the record show, like, there were movies that I thought of for this. You've never seen the original Evil Dead, which is one of my favorites. I thought about Silence of the Lambs. I went for fairly low stakes.
Now, and to be fair, you did tell me before we started recording this, those are happening to me at some point.
At some
just
point.
Not tonight.
Yeah, but it's after you've done what you do next week.
Yeah.
No, and that's not saying that those are coming up in the immediate future. They'll happen at some point without warning.
Yeah.
I'm going to sit down. I'm going to tell you, oh, we're watching Trolls this week, you know?
Yeah.
Just happy little troll movie. Nah, how about Evil Dead?
Reese. It's one of those movies that I know a lot of details about without knowing anything about the plot of the movie.
It's impossible to miss, but yeah.
Coming back to Wait Until Dark, if I hadn't seen his name in the credits several times and had you say something, there is no way I would have guessed that's Alan Arkin.
Yeah, Alan Arkin, I mean, he's dead now, but for the past 20, 30 years, he's looked like a guy who has always looked old. Mm-hmm. And so seeing him actually young is jarring. He looks like he's from Oasis in this. With the little round glasses and the kind of the almost mop top looking hair.
That's funny.
And he is scary good in this.
He's so scary in this.
I guess dailies had leaked of some of the early scenes, and the executives weren't super happy with him because he was being so laid back. And so they came in to kind of monitor it and see what's going on. And I think even the director took him aside and said, hey, do you mind showing some kind of emotion at some point? And they got to the part with the knife fight. Not fight, but where he pulls the knife on the guy. And he became what the character ends up being. And all the executives saw that and went, okay, we got it. It's good. He actually said that was a really easy role for him to book because no one wanted to be mean to Audrey Hepburn.
Yeah, I can see that.
And he was like, it's like my third movie I've ever made, and I get to act opposite Audrey Hepburn? Sure,
I'll be mean to Audrey Hepburn for a couple days.
But he was even asked afterwards. He was not nominated for an Academy Award for this, even though he was acclaimed. And someone said, were you surprised by that? And he said, not at all. You don't get nominated for being mean to Audrey Hepburn. It just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
That's how it went.
But yeah, I absolutely could have seen that in another world being nominated because holy cow, he's scary in this.
Yeah, he's a real slow burn kind of character. He knows what everything's about. And that first scene with him in the apartment where he's kind of laying everything out to the guys. Mm-hmm. And they're like, we're not going to do this. He's like, yeah, but keep in mind, you've got your fingerprints all over this place. And I left my fingerprints one place right here on the arm of the chair. And he wipes it up and he goes, and there's all the evidence that I was ever here.
Yep.
Knowing that scene, it's really interesting watching him and seeing he actually doesn't touch anything. Yeah. They laid that out very carefully.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I kind of replayed that scene in my head as I was watching it. And I was like, holy cow, he did not touch anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he also keeps the cigarette.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, puts in the little baby food jar or whatever.
Not that like DNA was a thing back then, but even by like today's standards, that would have been very smart.
Yeah, there was a lot of this that felt very clever and not in a, oh, look at how clever we're being kind of way.
But yeah, there's some really sly things in this that really help build the tension. I guess the pianos and the score were kind of tuned a little bit apart.
Yeah.
That kind of adds to that feeling of without you realizing it. I guess the composer wasn't really sure it was going to work until they got about a half hour into the first recording session, or they got a little ways into it. I don't know exact times. And one of the pianists went, can we stop for a little bit because something's not good here?
Yeah.
I need a second. Yeah.
I caught that there's like one scene where they do like kind of a long shot of the street in front of the house. Mm-hmm. And yeah, you can just kind of hear that disjointed sound.
Yeah.
And it does. It kind of raises your hackles a little bit.
Right. But it does it in a way that like you're not necessarily aware of what's going on. It just, you feel wrong, which is how you should feel because bad stuff is happening.
Right. Yeah, it's a good score.
Richard Crenna is also in this. He plays Tallman.
Yeah.
He's very good.
He's very good.
He's not given a whole lot to do. He's kind of a middle of the, he's in on the scheme.
Yeah.
And he's kind of the middle of the road guy. He's the one trying to gain her trust. And so he doesn't have a whole lot of chops to show.
Right. The thing I thought he did really well was a lot of the kind of sight tricks for us, the audience. Like, he was the one who seemed to be the most aware of her blindness.
Yeah, there were, like, the moment where she asks him to go look if the car is still outside the window. There's supposed to be a cop car outside, and she asks if it's still there, and he just stands there, not near the window, kind of in the direction of the window, but not real close to it, and just stares at her and goes, yeah, it's still there.
Yeah.
In a very, you're right, that was kind of chilling watching him.
Yeah.
There are points in this movie where it's like, I know it's acted. I've seen the Audrey Hepburn and other stuff. I know she wasn't blind. But, like, how can you be doing this to just a poor blind lady?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, to kind of get to the thing we've been building to, Audrey Hepburn does such a good job of convincing you she's blind.
She does. She does a really good job of not, like, tracking people with her eyes. She even says at one point, she was not born blind. Which is important. It shows that she hasn't had 30, however many years to get used to it. She's had like 2.
Yeah,
and
it's a sudden traumatic thing. It's not...
Yeah, car crash.
Yeah.
Or rather, the fire from the car crash. But little things that we don't really think about, like the fact that when someone walks across the room, you kind of track them with your eyes, even if you don't mean to, little reactions. The way that towards the end, Alan Arkin's character wrote is teasing her. He's got like a fabric that he keeps draping around her, and she seems genuinely distressed. Like she doesn't know what it is.
Where it's coming from.
Yeah. She also you don't see her like preparing to trip over things.
Yeah.
It seems very natural. I know she went to like a school for the blind to see how they act in various situations, but it's incredible.
Yeah, it is really good, and there's a little bit of that classic of the era hamminess. Yeah, at times there are a couple of times where she's in distress, where she's just screaming for the rafters. But when she
finds the phone cord has been cut.
Yeah. That was where I was going.
Yeah.
Little Shatnerian, if
a
you will.
little bit. I can see kind of what, like, she's holding on to the bars. I can imagine that in that kind of situation you want to ground yourself, grab something that you know where you are and all that. But yeah, it is hammy.
But at the same time, it's like, I've never been in that situation. Who knows?
Yeah,
maybe that's how you react.
And it does show earlier that she's kind of prone to overreaction when she feels like she is being tortured for being blind, when she feels something is not fair.
Yeah.
So it's not out of character, but it is hammy.
And I'll never get used to that kind of mid-Atlantic accent.
Yeah, I don't...
That always distracts me so much.
She always has that.
Yeah. It's just of the time.
Right.
I mean, if those are my only 2 real gripes in the entire movie, then holy cow, great movie.
Yeah. If you give it a watch, just give it some time. Once you feel the rhythm of the movie, it moves pretty well. And once... It really kind of hooked me when she kind of picked up that something was going on.
Yeah.
At that point, it felt like it had started to build momentum. That was the point where I stopped worrying about whether you were enjoying it or not.
Yeah.
I stopped thinking about that.
See, it's funny. I was hooked much earlier than that. About the time Alan Arkin goes, and that's the only thing I've touched. And I'm like, oh, these 2 fools are getting played like a piano.
Right.
And they're kind of aware of it, but they're not aware to the extent.
Yeah.
It's like he said later in the movie, those 2 idiots have brains made of comic books. You know, they think they're so smart kind of thing.
Right. Yeah, he does have that feeling. I do want to know, like, these 2 people don't seem like they make that much money. She's not employed at all.
He's a photographer.
Sam is a photographer.
Now, granted, photographer in the 60s is a very different career.
Yeah. That was a pretty spacious apartment, though.
Yeah, but there could be that kind of classic...
I guess they do mention at the beginning that the landlord's not very good.
Right.
So it's
the landlord's not really good. The appliances and everything you see are all very dated.
Yeah, but how much of that is that they were dated and how much of that is that it was made in the 60s?
No, I mean, they're dated in the 60s.
Oh, okay.
Like, that fridge looked like it was the original fridge, maybe.
Right. The very first one ever put out.
Made by John Refrigerator. I'm kidding.
Yes.
Obviously.
Yeah. That refrigerator, which I've never seen a more intense sequence
Involving a refrigerator?
based around a refrigerator. Yeah.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's kind of the thing with anything set in New York. They're always like, oh, they do this, and they somehow live in this spacious apartment.
Yeah, and I mean, there needed to be room for her to move around because,
right.
If she's always within arm's reach of everything, there's not a whole lot of peril to be had for her. Yeah,
it's kind of one of those in anything set in New York, you kind of have to suspend disbelief. I always liked the theory on How I Met Your Mother that all of those apartments were actually significantly smaller, and then it's just that's how big they were in Ted's head in his memories.
Yeah.
Because they even show in one scene Marshall and Lily kind of stumbling around the realistic version of their apartment and how small it is and cramped it is.
Right.
And I've kind of always thought that was the accurate version of that. And I kind of think that's the same thing with this, where it's like you're just looking at an expanded...
Yeah, it could be something kind of artistic license to show how big it feels to Susy or something like that. Yeah, I can see that. But.
Or just, movies are hard, man. Let's not make them harder than they have to be.
Yeah, it all, again, like you said earlier, if that's my biggest complaint, like, the movie did good.
Yeah.
And really, it occurred to me when they first showed, I'm like, man, there's a lot of room in this place. I guess there's like 3 rooms in the whole thing, but the one room is huge for, a New York place. But then as the stuff got going, it occurred to me, oh, right, that was kind of a big apartment, wasn't it?
Weird, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, just a solid movie. My wife has seen this movie before as well. In fact, the last time I watched it was showing it to her, and I was trying to keep a pretty close eye on the TV because I hate it when I'm watching a movie that, like, someone's showing me a movie and they keep looking over and going, "Did you get that?
Did you like it?"
Right? Yeah. Just, don't forget, she put the stuff in the flower pot. That's gonna be important. So I was trying to stay pretty focused ahead. But at the end of the movie, after you went to the bathroom, I looked over at Megan, and she had her stuffed. I think it was her stuffed cat, just like in a death grip.
That poor cat.
I was like, are you okay? She's like, no. Like, you knew it was gonna happen. Yeah.
You knew she was gonna live.
Yep. The first time I showed it to her, I said, we should watch Wait Until Dark. I just bought Wait Until Dark. We should watch it. She said, what's it about? I said, Audrey Hepburn plays a blind lady and some guys looking for drugs torture her. She went, oh, okay. I mean, that sounds interesting. And we got done with it. And she said, you didn't tell me that it was freaky. Like, what part of a blind lady gets tortured for drugs did you not pick up on?
Did you not go, well, that's gonna be scary.
Yeah. I do like to look into alternate people who are considered.
Okay, yeah. We've done this on a couple episodes now. Always fun.
Don't have many here because a lot of people said absolutely not. Like,
right.
But I do know that Audrey Hepburn was the first choice to play Susy. For whatever reason, I guess as a backup, Julie Andrews was considered.
Which is funny. Those two are always like in discussion at the same time.
Yeah, back there in the 60s.
Yeah.
For the role of Rote, Sean Connery was considered.
Ooh.
He was the one that
would have been interesting.
Yeah, but he decided he didn't want to be mean to Audrey Hepburn.
Can't blame him.
His loss was,
our gain and Alan Arkin's gain.
Yeah, those are the only alternate casting. I saw some stuff on who played different roles in the original Broadway production. Actually, Gloria was played by the actress who played Gloria.
How about that?
Yeah, so they just said, you're good. Just carry you over. Yeah.
That's pretty neat. I do love at the beginning of the movie they did such a good job of setting the time that this was going in with the woman who's smuggling the drugs. Her entire shtick is just, hi, I'm a hip woman in the 60s. Like, she has that big hair bump.
Yep.
She's got kind of the, the very mod dress and the big fur coat.
A little bit of a hippie way of talking.
Yeah.
A little bit. She disappears from the story very quickly, but one of her only lines is, they should make heroin look like something else, like candy bars.
Yeah. That was one of those lines where I was like, somebody wrote that. Somebody got paid to write that.
Yeah.
Wow, okay. It gets better.
Yeah.
From there.
I was watching, I was like, man, I don't remember this girl, and she delivered that line like, that's why I don't remember you.
Yeah.
And then she shows up in the closet. Which is a great reveal.
Yes.
It's early on. They're searching around the apartment, and someone opens a closet, and she's in like a suit bag.
Yeah.
And you just see it back there. And then see it back there as he's opening the door and looking around. It's that moment of, is he going to notice it?
Yeah.
Is she going to move? Like, what's going to happen? Some of the highest praise I can give a movie like this is, even though I knew how it ended, even though I've seen it before, there were moments where like, oh, I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
You know? I hope it's not different this time. I hope this 1967 movie
hasn't changed
in the past couple months. It's a smart movie, more so than you'd think with, you know...
Pretty simple premise.
Drug people torture blind lady.
Yeah.
It does feel, especially coming out of the 60s, late 60s, it does, hearing the description, it does feel like it could be one of those like exploitation movies.
Right.
Which for our younger audience is kind of in the same vein as like Human Centipede is now, though I guess even that is kind of dated. It's those movies that...
They're shocking for the sake of being shocking.
Yeah, they just put stuff up on the screen for the sake of hurting the audience.
Yep.
They want people to be able to say with pride, I sat through it.
Yeah.
I made it. Stuff like Cannibal Holocaust and stuff like that. That's just, it feels wrong to watch, but you watch it because you don't want the movie to beat you.
Yeah.
And I'm not super proud of the fact that I've sat through quite a few movies like that. And on paper, it sounds like this would be the same thing.
Right.
And it's not. They don't go cheap places with it.
Yeah.
Very often.
Yeah.
And when they do, it's in service of a something more valuable.
Yeah, building to something better. Yeah.
Any final thoughts?
I love Technicolor.
It's good.
It's such a cool look.
We got. I don't know. I don't have your list right here. I know that I have another Technicolor movie.
Yeah.
Before the end of the year, and in December, it's a Christmas.
I always loved all those musicals and stuff. Just that look was one of a kind.
Yeah, I wish they'd bring stuff like that back, though. I guess we've been shown time and again that stuff like that just doesn't work at the movie theater anymore.
Yeah. Put it on Netflix. Somebody will stream it.
It does have a way of, especially on a big screen, if you ever get a chance to see a movie, like an old school, like Technicolor movie on a big screen, do it. I've seen a couple. I saw Singing in the Rain.
Yeah.
Which you haven't seen, and we will get to. And then there was a theater near here that used to do a different Christmas movie every week, and they did White Christmas. That used to be a tradition. With me and my grandma, we'd go see it on the big screen. And from the moment it did that big, you know, the overture and all of that, as soon as that all starts, it's just like, I'm here. I'm watching a movie. I got my popcorn, I got my soda, and it's just going to be a good time. Even if it's something like this, which is not
a good time.
It's not fun to watch.
But it's a good time.
But, yeah, it takes you back.
It does.
It feels like I heard the story one time. I promise this circles back around.
Your guess is as good as mine, folks. Whether it'll circle back around.
It does. I have a plan. I just have to remember where the story starts. Tomato juice.
Wow, I did not think that's where we were going to start.
Tomato juice used to be sold in tin cans. And some company found that, plastic is cheaper. It's easier to make. We can save money if we put it in plastic jugs. And they started getting complaints because it didn't taste right. They realized everyone felt like it should have that tin in it. And so they started putting tin flavoring in the plastic jugs to get it back around. That's what Technicolor is to me. It's like, it doesn't look right, but it's this artificial thing that makes the package feel like it's supposed to feel.
Wow.
That's ADHD for you right there.
Yeah.
But
that was a trip, but that was fascinating. Really.
Yeah. But yeah, the idea of like an artificial feel, like if it, like I feel like if you can tap into the right audience and you don't even have to film it in Technicolor, just put the filter over it. I know La La Land did it a little bit.
Yeah,
I have different issues with La La Land, but that wasn't one of them. They did it effectively. I think that just it's the tin flavor, the artificial tin flavoring in it. You just have to have something that isn't technically good.
Right.
It looks fake, or in the case of the tomato juice, it tastes fake. Mm-hmm. But it's something that triggers something in your brain that goes, yep, this is how it's supposed to be. This is cinema. This is... Yeah.
This is a movie.
Yeah.
It's movie time.
Yeah, see?
Popcorn.
I brought it back around.
Old Hollywood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There were points in this where it did feel kind of wrong that I didn't have like a tub of popcorn in my lap. Mm-hmm. There were a couple parts where it felt like I would have throwing the popcorn.
Throwing popcorn. We would have been wearing it.
Which my dog would have been fine with.
Your dog would have loved that.
Taddy loves popcorn. I think we've probably gone on long enough about it.
I think we have too.
Yeah, but I recommend it.
I do as well.
And now you haven't skipped that.
I am glad I have not.
Yeah, so is it a movie that you think you'll revisit?
Definitely.
Cool.
Definitely. Yeah, like, I'll probably be on the lookout to see if that goes on sale at some point. If not, I'll pick it up full price.
Right. Yeah.
When I give up. That's how it usually works. I go, I'll get it on sale, and then it never goes on sale, and then I buy it, and it goes on sale the next week. Yeah.
Well, I guess we will. We'll see you all next week when the torture that you have been hearing about so long finally comes to pass.
It does. It does.
All, like, embellishment aside, I have been intentionally skipping this movie for years. Yep. It's not like Wait Until Dark, where until I told you about it, or Lady Hawk, where until you told me about it, we didn't know it existed.
Right.
Like, I'd never heard of it.
This movie existed.
I was very aware that this movie existed, and I intentionally didn't watch it.
Right. Anyway, you can find us on social media, on TikTok, Instagram, and Threads, at You Skip That, all one word. On Facebook, You Skipped That, spelled out, capitalized, question mark at the end. That's how you'll find us.
Yeah. We like everything spelled out for us. So.
Exactly. Exactly.
But, yeah. So tune in next week for an episode.
And I would like to point out, this might be the first zero jar episode. Nobody has said it. In the interest of charity, absolutely.
I feel like that was absolutely the right move.
Absolutely. Thank you all for joining us.
Till next week, I'm Dan Clark.
I'm Alex Grace.
And this has been You Skip That.